Okay, guys, welcome back. We are working on a Honda TRX250R steering stem today. This is a Lone Star stem, and my good friend asked if I could take 2.5 inches out of the stem. Because this is I think it's a 2 or 2.5 extended, and he wants to go back the other way. I told him no problem, but I told him this is the brace, right? And I told him 2.5 inches will bring this pretty far down, and he might have clearance issues on the bottom in relation to his tank. So I told him, let's take 1.5 inches out, and then I'll give it to him. I'll just tack it, give it to him. We'll see how it fits, mock it up, and then go from there and see if more should come out or not. So that's the plan of attack, and I just wanted to go over some of the details here with all of you. And it needs to be repaired. Looks like he smacked something really hard, which I think I know what race he did this, because he got hit hard and thrown, and he was out for the count. But to his credit, he got back on that machine and he finished, I don't know, he finished like 7th place or something that race, even from getting screwed up. And it was right after the whole shot. It was just a few turns in, super dusty. He couldn't see anything and he whacked it. So that might be what caused this. And boy, it certainly doesn't look like it felt good. So got to repair this and straighten it out. So I'll straighten it and then weld it, and we'll get that back to normal form. And then about the shortening, just for any of you that might care to repeat this process, this is a fixed location. This doesn't change. This is the steering stabilizer mount location, and then this is the upper brace. And so these are fixed. These don't change. So when we shorten it, the top will come down. Now, where to shorten it is actually quite crucial. We don't want to shorten it here because we don't want to create a joint here. Because if there's any hard impact or high load impact from whatever accident or whatever problem may occur, you don't want it here because there's too much leverage too close to that point. You don't want it right in the middle because, again, if there's a high load impact, then not only do you have a torsion that you need to worry about, but I mean that's to be said for any location you pick, but if the load is high enough, there will be some bending factor, some bending load in addition to the torsional. So you don't want to put it right in the middle because that's the highest load you would see from the bend and torsional combination. So that's the weakest point, is right in the middle. So we should take the 2 inches out of, like, right here, 1.5 inches out of this point, because then the mounting location here where it's all worn down, this will move up here. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to clean this up and very carefully mark it, and I'll walk you through how I shorten it, keep everything straight and pretty. So repair work first and then shortening. Okay, I've got everything straightened out. Let's see if we can get a good focus on this. Maybe not. So yeah, push this back and we are ready to weld it. If you look real close, for some reason it doesn't want to focus. There we go. You can see it. The failure occurred right on the edge of the weld. So it started in the center of the weld, right at the edge of the plate. So they probably had a crater, which had too much tensile stress in it. That's why you want to fill. You want your welds to be convex, not concave. And so it's probably concave and too much of a crater, giving it tensile stress, not a good compressive stress. and then it failed right along the boundary of the fusion zone there to the base material. So now I've got to try to weld it here. I'm going to tack it on here, and then I think this is a seal. I asked my good friend what this was. It doesn't look like a bearing race, but I can't quite tell if it's metallic or plastic. I'm going to try to see if I can remove it a little bit more, but it's on there really good, so I might just have to leave it alone. If so, I will wrap it. I'll do the old trick and wrap it in a nice soaking cold wet rag, and then weld this side first. Okay, here it is with the 1.5 inches taken out. Here's the scribe line. Let me get some light here for you. So there's the scribe line lined up. And I've got the angle iron in there as a bottom support, in the vise as a clamp. So it really doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need to make some overly complicated jig to hold each end. Just be very careful. Describe yourself a very clear line for realignment, and that's as simple as that. I have a tube inside here that spans from here to here. I finished this down because I did not want the weld on the back side to interfere with the angle iron or any of this alignment. So this will be welded after we are confident that this was enough to take out. Maybe we'll take out another inch, because he originally said he wanted 2.5, so we'll see. But that's why I scribed a much longer line. So I'm going to tack it here, and then that's as far as we go. We're going to test fit it and see how it appears. But if any of you are wondering why I don't have a significant gap here for the welding, I'll explain that really quick. For this type of joint, we don't want, so we have that center tube here, and then we have our outer tube. What we don't want is a gap for penetration. Some might think it's good to have that gap for penetration, and I don't blame people for thinking that, but this is a circumstance where you don't want all this penetration. You don't want your weld to be here and then go into here as well. You don't want to penetrate into the inside tube, because then you have heat effect, which is the weakest point of your weld. You really don't want any heat going in here. You want this to be as virgin material as possible. So that's why this is butt up nice and tight. And this weld will do all the work, and then that inside tube from here to here will act as a just a structural reinforcement for the inside for any significant bending load. And there's only 2 welds on each side, a plug weld here and one 180 degrees from it. Same here. So those won't give a whole lot of torsional strength. They should do a fair amount of work, but that's not what they're intended for. We don't want to weld all the way around for this same reason. We just want to make sure that they are held in place and secure, and this will work as a reinforcement for that potential bending load. And then we just weld this as is. So that's it. It's that simple. So I'll go check this out with Matt and see if that's how he likes it, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I went and fit the stem with Matt, and it's a good thing we did. We took 1.5 inches out, like I said, and we agreed, or he determined not to take any more. And that was because the studs for his handlebar mount came down to about here, and there was probably 3/8 of an inch clearance for, he runs like a 4-gallon IMS tank, high volume tank on the 250R. So there's a little bubble right there that this swings over, and the stud swings over it. So we could have taken maybe 3/8 to 1/4 out, and then that stud would have hit. If you ran the factory stem, there's a lot more clearance based on how that handlebar mounts. So a lot more clearance on the bottom in this regard. So that's it. We're taking 1.5 inches out. He told me just let's leave it how it is, weld it up. He sat on it. He did a whole bunch of mock-up, and he thinks it's a lot more comfortable and will be ideal for what he's looking for. So I'm just going to put you guys on the stand. We'll do a quick time lapse, and I'm going to weld this up, and that'll be it. I'm going to keep an eye on the straightness, and you'll see I'll only weld about 1/4 inch at a time, pull it out, check straightness, and might massage it a tiny bit, straighten it, put it back in 180 degrees, weld a tiny little bit, and I'll keep doing that until everything's done, it's welded all the way around, and it's nice and straight. I'm not going to do nice long beads that are continuous. They look really pretty, and that's the best way, but in order for us to keep this stem nice and straight, I'm going to avoid doing that. So a little bit at a time. That way the stem stays straight, everybody's happy, and the fitment's perfect. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, there you have it, folks. It's that simple. So took 1.5 inches out, and we repaired the bottom, and that's that. So without further ado, this is for Matt, Dirt Squad ATV. Go check out his channel and go bother him. You'll see this coming season, 2025, he'll be running this stem on his 250R. So go hit him up. Go blast his comment section. Ask him if it feels different, if it's that much lower, if it's noticeable. So go give him as much trouble as you can. He's a good dude, and if you want to see really cool vintage racing on that 250R, go check out his stuff. He's got a bunch of good videos. So that's it. See you guys next time.